I want to start this off real quick just to announce that it's been a while and I've been saying it's coming. We finally released some new hat styles. Now, they still have the same design, the same HVACR acronym on them. Real quick, we have a flat bill, okay, says HVACR. This is a standard style hat, standard material, okay. It is a flex fit, but it is a snapback. Okay, so I do think that's really cool because you can fine tune the size. You can go a little bit tighter on the snapback, but the flex fit will still allow for the flex, so you can get it nice and snug. Really important, black underbill on the hat, okay? This is not the same style of hat as my normal original hat that I'll talk about in a second, okay? This is just a standard, normal hat, okay? And then on top of that, we have what we call the relax fit or the dad hat, okay? This is a slouchy hat. It's for people that don't have giant heads like myself and a lot of hair because it's a little bit shorter right there, but it still has a black underbill. It is a standard bill on the front and it has a clasp that is adjustable, okay? So those are both available on my website, hvacrvideos.com. Now,
what the hell? I pushed the wrong button and now it's like
doing something
weird. Okay, there we go. Anyways, sorry about that. Stupid mixer. That was confusing. Then we have the standard hat, right? This is the one that I'm wearing. This is a breathable material, black underbill, flex fit, no snapback. This one's been available on my website for about 2-3 years now. The most popular seller on there. Now, I purposely made these hats without my logo, okay? I wanted them to just have the HVACR acronym with my color scheme on them, so that way they don't violate other people's uniform policies. That was the idea, at least, okay? So if you guys are interested in purchasing any of these 3 hats, go to hvacrvideos.com and let me know what you think, okay? Really appreciate you, and let's get on with the video. This video is brought to you by Sporlan. Quality, integrity, and tradition. Well, this morning we have a service call on an AC not working. They're saying, well, this was our first like consistently warm weekend. It was about 85, 90 degrees all weekend. So what's happening is a lot of these customers that don't do normal routine maintenance, like this particular customer's kind of stopped maintenance right now. They're starting to realize like, hey, we got a lot of problems, you know, and we're having to dig into them. So they actually called me about several ACs today, but we're focusing on AC number 5 right now. So we're gonna open it up, my electrical section's in here. Now, when it comes to these ACs, especially the older carrier models, I never shut off power until I've opened up the electrical cabinet and looked inside there and checked for issues with the compressor lockout boards. These are old units. They have the CLO boards or the compressor lockout boards. And what they can do if it ever opens on high pressure, low pressure, or a freeze thermostat, right, a freeze protection for the evaporator, it will lock the unit out. But when you cycle power, you reset it. So on the carrier units, the older ones, we always check for compressor lockout before we cycle any power. Obviously being careful, paying attention. If we see a bunch of burnt wires and stuff, we're gonna shut off the power. But let's go ahead and open this control cabinet up and have a look. All right, we open up the electrical cabinet here, and I'm not seeing anything too crazy. Looking at the fuse, kind of looks a little dark, but I don't know if it's burnt. Unit itself doesn't look in horrible shape. Don't see anything too crazy. This disconnect switch, now these right here actually have a little mechanism in here that you can open it while it's energized, so that way you don't have to cycle power. But you got to make sure you know what you're doing, okay? So let's go ahead and test for 3-phase power. Let's see what we got here. 207, line 1 to 2. 207, line 2 to 3. This is incoming voltage. This is not outgoing, so we're making sure that we have proper voltage first. 207, line 1 to 3, okay? Now, let's verify that we have power coming out of the fuses. 208, 1 to 2, 207. Okay, so we have 3-phase power coming out of the fuses, going into the unit, okay? So that's a good sign. That means we're not tripped on a breaker or anything, okay? Or fuses aren't blown. Next, what we want to do is verify if we have 24 volts. Now, we have a ladder diagram right here. Now, the ladder diagrams on these are not the most amazing thing in the world, but essentially one of the really important features about this ladder, the schematic panel, is right here. This is a legend about what components are what: compressor lockout board, cap, indoor fan contactor, compressor contactor, ignition control, and transformer. Okay, so that pretty much is all laid out. So we have a transformer right here, compressor contactors, but for some reason we're not running. So let's check for 24 volts from C to R, and we have nothing. That's 24 volts from C to R. We don't have anything. Now I said this fuse looks a little funky. Let's test it. We're gonna go across the fuse, see if we have voltage. We're not measuring voltage, but are we even delivering voltage? Is that transformer working is the question. Now, I hate the wiring on these units because it's so difficult, but I don't think we have 24 volts here. So let me check again. From R to C, and we have no 24 volts. So I'm going to get in here and find the incoming voltage from the transformer and see if we can figure out where that's going and if the transformer is actually working. All right. Transformer, I put some Wagos on there so it was easier to test voltage because the wire nuts weren't very easy. And we have 26 volts coming out of the transformer. Okay, 26 volts coming out of the transformer, but we're not sending voltage to the board. Okay, so if we look at the schematic, this right here is gonna be our schematic that we're concerned with. Okay, this is our power board, and here's all the logic down in here. Okay, so if we have, this is the transformer right here. You can tell because it says TRAN, and if you come over here, it'll tell you transformer. Okay, so we've got a transformer right here. You've got common, and then you have 24 volts running through an OLR, then going to the 5 amp fuse. Okay, so OLR in here, OLR is an overload relay, and that I believe is actually in the indoor fan motor. That's why it says IFM. So the question is, power from the transformer goes into the overload, and then it goes to the 5 amp fuse. So if we don't have power at this 5 amp fuse, then that means that our problem is in the overload. Okay, and I already checked power at this fuse and we have nothing. I checked it to ground too. I didn't show you guys on camera, but I checked across to see if the fuse was blown, and it wasn't. And then I also checked to ground, and there's no 24 volts, 26 volts. So I believe our power is getting lost in the indoor fan motor. So let's open up this cabinet and see what it looks like. All right, this is interesting because we are not energized. None of the contactors are pulled in. Pulled this open, and this motor is red hot, but it doesn't have voltage going to it. So it makes me wonder if it recently had voltage going to it and it just shut off on thermal overload or something, because that motor is red hot, like burning. So again, I verified the contactor's not stuck or anything. That's our contactor right there, I believe. Let's look at the legend. Yeah, indoor fan contactor, IFC and C. So that is our indoor fan contactor, and it is not pulled in. And I'll show you guys just to confirm. This is incoming voltage 207, and that's outgoing voltage. We have nothing. Now, that is a 3-phase motor, but they're only using a 2-pole contactor because one leg always goes energized. On 3-phase, if you disconnect 2 of the legs, you're good to go. It's a way to save a couple pennies on manufacturing costs. At this point, this guy, we need to pull this motor out and inspect it. And I bet you there's a thermal overload inside there. But my question is, why is it not running? Because it's hot, but we're not getting a call for power. Now, very careful. I'm gonna push in this contactor. Again, I understand what I'm doing. As new technicians and guys that haven't been around equipment that has inverters and VFDs, you want to be very careful pushing in contactors because oftentimes there's bypass contactors and things can happen. So we're going to push in this guy. Yeah. Okay, it's like locked up. That motor's got something going on. So we're going to go ahead and shut off power now. Okay. and I need to pull that motor out so we can inspect it. Now I have power off, power's disconnected. I'll verify. I already confirmed a minute ago that the disconnect works, but I'll verify that we have no power. Yeah, we're dead. Okay, now I'm just checking 2 legs, but we're dead. Okay, so motor spins, but it is burning hot. It could have been single phasing, like it could be missing power. So what we're gonna have to do is pull the motor out, flip it around, maybe set it up top here where we can, or even just flip it here so I can get to the back and we can energize it and test voltage and look inside the electrical section, which is on the back here. Pulled this motor out, not seeing anything crazy. It spins, the bearings don't, seem to be locked up. The electrical seems to be intact. Now it's still powered off, so what we need to do is test to see if we actually have 3-phase going to the motor. If we have 3-phase and it's not turning, it's just probably a bad motor. We'll have to see. So oftentimes testing voltage on these small wire nuts can be tricky. That's where these 3 conductor Wago connectors come in handy, because you can they have a test port in the top. So there's things about the Wagos I like, there's things I don't like. This is a plus. All right, I'm gonna turn on power. Let's see what happens. It's trying to start. Is it not getting voltage? Interesting, the motor's buzzing and it's not getting proper voltage, I don't think. 104, it's like our contactor's not working. Okay, so now we're gonna pan over here. All right, now I'm gonna try to turn it on again and see if we have a voltage drop across this contactor. Okay, there we go. No voltage drop. There's no voltage drop. 205 across it. Interesting. So we've got no voltage drop. The contactor's pulling in, but we don't have proper power coming to the motor. So where's our power getting lost at? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna disconnect the motor and we're just gonna have the power wires going to the Wagos, and we're gonna put the meter on with just the power wires. There's something going on here because we didn't have 3-phase power, but we also could be missing our 3rd leg. So yeah, I'm gonna get the motor disconnected from the picture and then we can play with it a little bit more. We should be good to go. Yeah, everything's safe. Contactor just pulled in. So now, let's go ahead and test voltage. So you can use the test port in the top, or you can open the Wago, put it in there like that. So we got 27 volts from one leg to one leg. Something's wrong there. Let's test to ground. That's not right. There's a full leg of power on the black wire. There's a full leg of power on the blue wire. I bet you we're just missing the yellow. We're testing the ground. We got nothing on yellow to ground. So our yellow wire is missing power. So we tested each wire to ground. We had 120, 120, and nothing. So we're missing that yellow wire. Coming back, let's have a look. Do we have any breaks? Better shut off power because we have power right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off, okay? And we're gonna keep looking here. So it's the yellow wire. Something happened. We're looking for any breaks. It looks like crud, but I don't see any breaks per se. Let's follow the yellow wire into here. Goes up, 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 down to right here. This is the yellow wire right here. Wait a minute here. That's odd. Is it coming into the wrong side of the contactor? What's going on here? Something's odd. I gotta verify. I'm gonna turn on power. We're gonna test this contactor. This is a compressor contactor. We gotta see which side is supposed to have power, because right now, if it is the way that I think it is, it's the opposite side of what... Oh no, okay. 208. All right, so that's right. So, interesting. So yellow has power to ground. It's also interesting that they flip-flop the contactors as far as incoming and outgoing. So on this one, the compressor contactor, incoming voltage is on this side. On this one, incoming voltage is on the other side, I think, unless I'm just crazy. And let's see. Oh, well, no. Yeah, no. Actually, I don't know. Anyways, I'm getting lost in my own thing. So I'm gonna shut off power. So we have power. I think we just have a break in the wire somewhere. We just gotta trace, it should be this wire right here. Going back, I think, power's off. I think it's back in here. Something's happening here. Where this wire is broken along the line somewhere. It's going in there. I better open this up, make sure it's not a break in here. Something's happening where we're losing voltage on this wire. Okay. Yellow wire. Not seeing a break in the yellow wire there. Not seeing a break anywhere in the yellow wire. Don't see a break through the penetration. Okay, following it back. Not seeing an issue there. Let's go ahead and pull the connector out. Maybe it's just a bad connection. I mean, it feels like it's making contact. The connection looks good. Interesting. It seems like we're intact. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tone out this wire to see if we have a break. Well, I'll be. We do not, we have a break in the wire. I have it on tone right now. If I put this and this together, we have tone. Let me pull on this wire. I found it. I found it. Look right here. Look at that. Broken wire. Okay, so we need to get a new wire around to this. Let's inspect the other ones too, make sure that they're not rubbed out in a similar spot. So yeah, we lost 3-phase to this motor. This motor may or may not reset. We'll have to see. So let me go get some wire and we'll replace this section of wire right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run new wire to this motor, all 3 legs, just to be safe, because these things are notorious for rubbing out. So it's not gonna be hard. I got the wire, but I just realized I don't have any electrical tape. So I'm gonna go get some electrical tape and we'll very nicely run the wires, zip tie them up and everything, and then hope that that fixes our problem maybe. Pulling the wires out, and back in here, there's another rub out right where those wires run across this blower. They're pretty pinched right there, so I'm gonna have to fix that too. These units are notorious for this. They always rub out. That's why you really gotta work hard to make sure you get them good. So what I do is I take these zip ties that have the clips, because I know you can buy them, but my supply houses don't have them, and I always forget to order them online. And then you can just run a new zip tie through the existing thing, and we'll secure everything up so that way it's not rubbing at all. All right, you know, it's polishing a turd, but I secured the wires right here. There's a double zip tie. There was actually an arc, so I utilized that hole. That was from the wire burning out. So I utilized that hole. We go through with multiple zip ties so that way the wires are never touching the metal. Okay, back up into here. Again, this is not the greatest looking in the world, but it is what it is. Belts on. This unit's in beat up shape. These motor brackets are notorious for flexing down, and this one is doing that. So you can't get the belt on too tight, because all it does is just bend the motor. See how the motor flexes? It's because these brackets are junk. If you look in here, they're actually flexing. So there's a retrofit kit for it. If we need to, we can do that, but I got it in there, got it back on. We're gonna fire this guy up. Everything should be good. Blower direction should be like this, counterclockwise. Yep, there's a rotation arrow. So counterclockwise is the way it should go. There's a possibility I switch the phases. So looking in here, everything's where it needs to be. Wires are hooked on where they should be. Everything's good, everything's good. Cross your fingers, 1, 2, 3, please don't blow up. Okay, it's spinning in the right direction. The fact that it turned on indicates that we were sending power downstairs to the thermostat and it wasn't off on overload anymore. That overload inside of here disconnects the R wire going to the thermostat downstairs. So I think we're gonna be okay. Definitely need to talk to them about getting some pulleys on here too. These pulleys are in bad shape, so I'll measure those. But we're gonna put the panel on and finish troubleshooting the unit to see if we can get it up and running. So I use a note-taking app in my phone. That way I can put all the information that I need. So I'm gonna put the pulley sizes. So oftentimes you can find the part numbers. So this is an AK41 by 5/8. Let's see if we've got voltage coming back from our thermostat. So we're gonna go from common to R, 25 volts, common to Y1, nothing. W2, W1, nothing. So we have no call for cooling, so we gotta go downstairs and bump this stat down. In the meantime, I'm just gonna jump it out. Okay, now we're calling for cooling. Compressor turned on. So I take it, this unit has an economizer, so I take it that the economizer let voltage go through, because normally if you jump it out, the economizer interrupts it and stops it. So compressor's running, condenser fan motor's running, indoor blower motor's running. All the fuses fell out of the disconnect. We always keep spares in there for the next guy. Everything on this unit looks beat up, so it's definitely stuff. Looks like I installed this 32715. We'll close that up. All right, we are back. It's been a while since I was here, a couple weeks. I have a new blower motor bracket and a couple other pulleys and stuff. We're gonna get them put on this guy. Customer said everything's been working good since I left, so let's go through it. When you have these carrier units with the single piece blower bracket, they have a history, especially when they get older, of flexing when you tighten the belt, and then it causes poor pulley wear, poor belt wear, all that different stuff. They actually have a retrofit kit. It's a 3-piece set. It's gonna make a 2-piece blower thing, and it works a little bit better. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is I'm hoping that it allows me to use the same size belts. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so I'm gonna put it together because I have new belts in here, but hopefully they fit. Right. This is the old bracket. It's a single piece and it's not flat anymore. Again, it's gonna be hard for you guys to see this, but this whole thing is twisted. You can kind of see it right there. And it's because, like, the whole thing's cockeyed. Because it just flexes from the weight, and every time you tighten the belt. Here's the new setup. This pivots back and forth. It's a little bit better. Still got to work a little bit to get it to line up and everything, but I'm gonna line it all up. Got some new bolts and everything right here. Hopefully everything looks good. So the belt works. That's cool. I'm glad about that, but I'm gonna have to do a lot of work to get it lined up because the whole motor's sitting crooked. Like, I'm gonna have to play with it. This is where laser alignment thing would really come in handy. Worst case scenario, I can pull this back panel off because the drain, I already pulled the drain out. It's easy enough. So I might do that. Just depends though. Man, I really don't want to pull the whole economizer apart. I'm gonna try to do it without pulling the back panel apart if I can. Yes, I realize that if I buy a different puller, it will stay on easier, but I've had this one forever and it does what I need. I don't use it that often, so. that's enough. There we go. Set the new pulley the same as the old pulley, so we shouldn't have any speed change on the blower. This old one is worn down bad. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but we got a clean, smooth edge, and this one is rounded. To be honest with you, this needs to get closed just a little bit more. That's more like it. When these key stock get scarred like this, you can sand them down really good and it'll clean them. Looks good to me. Okay, now we're going to put a belt on there and try to line it up roughly. I'm just not winning today. You guys can all come along for the ride. Okay, we're there. We need to pitch the back of the motor just a little bit. But as far as tension on the blower, we're going to mark a little bit lower. So this is our mark of where we're at right now. And I need the tension to be just a little bit more. So we're going to pull the belt, lower the blower tensioner down just a little bit, and then we're going to tighten that on. Right there. Okay. So now the tension for the belt should be set. Now I got to kind of play with the motor a little bit and get it to pitch like that. Really. Let's try that. Let's see what that looks like. Tension's about where I want it. I'm looking at the way it's riding in the belt. Pretty darn good. I can just ever so slightly get a little bit more out of the back. More, and then I think that's going to be good. Let's go ahead and get this tightened down. Okay, and then now we're going to get this guy. Now, when you're doing this, it's going to pull this way when you tighten it. So ever so slightly, we're going to go in. So that way when we tighten it and it pulls out, it lines up. So So we do need to pull the belt off, and unfortunately I'm going to roll this belt off. Not the greatest thing to do, but I'm going to tighten this on. You don't want to have tension on it when you're tightening it. Make sure it's even. Nice and good. Okay. Now what we can do, best practices says that you don't roll belts off. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but situation. One of the downsides to not rolling the belt on is sometimes you need something to give you leverage to get proper tension. So I can do it by pushing, but you just gotta. Right. It's all installed. It's adjusted. Everything's tight where it's supposed to be. Tension is good. Extra belt in there. One thing I didn't double check was the tightness of this right here. Just to be safe, let's confirm. Yep, nice and tight. We're good. We're going to put the panel on, open up the electrical, and test the current. We are under on current. We're running 3.93, so we're good on that. Now we're just going to do another profile and just evaluate the entire system real quick. All right, we are fully set up. Got probes all in the unit. It's been running for about 20 minutes. We know that we're not overamping on the indoor blower motor. Now that the cooling's running, current has gone up just a little bit, but we're at 5.2 amps is what we're allowed to run, so we're good on that. Okay, when we come over here, see if I can get you guys the best image here. Sorry about the reflection, but we're looking pretty good. 37 degree evaporator coil, 101 condensing temp, about 11 degrees superheat. I mean, I'd like to see it a little bit lower, but we have a problem. This is 407C, and you don't want to overcharge this. I'm not going to put any more gas in it. Subcooling's not too bad. Temperature split about 23 degrees. Airflow looks decent. Delivered capacity is decent. I do not see anything wrong with this unit. Again, I apologize about the reflection there, but I don't see anything wrong with the unit. Everything seems to be okay. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. We are done. This unit is back and operational as best as possible. And we're gonna give the customer the keys and tell them to keep an eye on it. It's all about that big picture stuff, right? Again, we were there for an electrical short for the indoor blower motor that you guys saw in the video. Once I figured that out, but I also showed in the video that that blower motor bracket was flexing really bad. So I talked to the customer, got the approval. We ordered a new blower motor bracket, which came with the new two-piece conversion set. Much better, lasts a lot longer, a little more difficult getting dialed in and set up as far as the pulley alignment and everything, but once you get it going, you really should never have to play with that again, and then you're just sliding it up and down to tighten the belt, loosen the belt. It's a lot easier that way because tightening and loosening on the old bracket was kind of a pain in the butt. This one, you just have 3 bolts you undo and then it slides down. Super nice setup. So we took care of that, but at the same time, we also replaced the motor pulley and the driven pulley because they were in bad shape also and grooved really bad. Went through the system after that, made sure everything else was working properly. It was. We're good to go. Gave the customers the keys back, and it has been about a week since I made that repair, and all is well. So I really appreciate you making it to the end of the video. As I always say, it is really awesome to get the support. Leave me some feedback down in the comments. Tell me what you think. If you notice anything in my videos, if you see that, hey, there might be a better way to do something, or maybe I did something incorrectly, I'm always looking for that feedback. You can leave it in the comments. You can send me an email to hvacrvideos@gmail.com. I am learning every day. Not an expert mechanic. I don't know, everything. I'm still learning all the time, as we all are, right? We're all learning through this whole journey. But yeah, I'm always open to feedback and even criticism if you have some. Okay, you don't got to be a jerk about it, but sure, give me some feedback, even if it's not nice. If it's like, hey, I'm doing something totally wrong, let me know. I'm always looking to learn. It's funny, as I get older, I actually look forward to making mistakes so that way there's an opportunity to learn, if that makes sense. Of course, you want to avoid mistakes, but when I do, it's like, hey, you know what? Let's learn from this. Let's grow. Something new to learn, you know? So I love it. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can check out my website, hvacrvideos.com. We got lots of hats available. We got shirts, sweatshirts, beanies, lots of great stuff on there. So hvacrvideos.com, great way to support the channel. Also, if you're interested in supporting the channel, truetechtools.com. If you see any tools that you want on there, I have an offer code, big picture, one word. Put that in at checkout. There's a little spot for it. On almost all the items on the website. Not all of them. There's a few things that it doesn't apply to, but almost all of them. You can get an 8% discount on your order by using my offer code again, big picture, one word. And when you do that, I get a small commission from that. So it's a great way to help support the channel, right? You can also support the channel. The easiest way, actually, to be honest with you, is simply watch the videos from beginning to end. That's the simplest way. Like, that is really the easiest way. But you can also support it via PayPal, Patreon, and YouTube channel memberships. There's links in the show notes of this video on how to do that. I really, really appreciate you, and we will catch you on the next one, okay?